welcome to my channel. My name's Dawn, I'm the Reclusive Crafter, and today is No Waste Wednesday. And what we're going to be doing today is just walking you through what you can do with your scraps. So these are all the little bits and pieces that I had left over from putting together my Alice journal. Which I hope you've had a look at. I thought it was terrific, and yeah, I'd love to know your comments on it. So yeah, if you haven't already checked it out, let me know what you think. And like I say, these were all the bits and pieces that I've had left over, and today's video is going to be about what can we do with all of this. So I'm going to do a few little bits and pieces, and I will come back to you and we will talk through what we're doing. Okay, so hang around and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so I have been through all the envelope that I had of all the bits and pieces, and I have sorted it out into piles of bits, and I've cut bits out, and I'm just going to go through with you now what you can do with these leftovers. So the first thing I've pulled out is all these little scrappy bits that are all relatively neutral. So coffee dyed paper strips. I've got little snippets that have come off of the pages that I was working on. I've got some more coffee dyed paper there, and these are again little bits that have come off of the pages that I was working on from when I've cut images off of those pages and wanted to use the images but not the plain bit around the image. And what you can do with these is you can give yourself extra journaling space. So if you're doing something, and I'll give you an example, this was a little journal card that I did for the Asian Splendor diary, and all it is a little fold out, but I use strips like this to go in and give me some journaling space where I wouldn't have otherwise had journaling space. So that's one thing that you can do with them, and you can use them on the back of tags. In actual fact, in the Alice journal, I have actually done that on the back of one tags, these tiny little pieces here, stick them on the back of tags, and it just gives you that little bit of extra journaling space if you don't want to use a full length of coffee dyed paper, or if you've got doubly printed papers as well, sort of printed on both sides, you can add a little bits like that as well. So that's one idea with them. The other thing that you can do with them is you can use them to actually back tags with. So this piece here, that would be big enough to back a tag with. So again, it gives you some extra journaling space there. And you can also use them as well for masterboards. So when you're putting your masterboards together, these are quite neutral, just to lay out on your masterboards. You could, if you wanted to, cut the little designs off, or you can put those in the corner of your masterboards, maybe cut it across there and put that in the corner of your masterboard, and that just gives you an extra journaling page there as well. So that's those bits, and that's what I'm going to be doing with those bits. So they're not going to go to waste, they're not going to end up in the bin, they're going to get used. Okay, the next thing that I always think is a really nice idea to use is your scrappy bits that you can't really do a lot with, as in they're either too small to do anything with, or they're just sort of an offcut of something that you can't really make anything out of. You can cut them. I say cut them, you can cut them if you haven't got a punch, but use your hole punch and just cut these out. These are inch circles. No, they're not. I'm fibbing to you. They're far bigger than an inch. These are 1.5 inches. These are 1.5 inch circles. And I've also done some inch circles, and I have done some 1/2 inch circles. So I've got a little combination there, and there's a really good variety there of all the different printouts from the kit as well. And those you can do. I did a video not long ago on how to make paper flowers. So you can make paper flowers out of these. You can do button closures. Button closures are always handy to have. That one there, for instance, that's a lovely little design there with the little clock face on. If you were to back that onto one of the plainer pieces, you've got that as a button closure that you can use to seal up an envelope with, or do a little tuck spot with it. You can do lots of different things with them. You can, and like I say, if you're not making a button closure, or if you're making a button closure out of them, you can use the other piece as the backing as well. Or if you're doing a button closure with a kit that you're currently working on, you can just use these as backings to them as well, rather than it all go to waste. You can also use them for belly bands. If you want, let me just shift this little out of the way and I'll show you what I mean. So you can either, for instance, with your strips that you've got left over, you can either use the strip as a base and arrange your little circles down the belly band to give you a little belly band style ephemera piece, or you can actually use these themselves just as the belly band. So the circles themselves, rather than having the backing, you could just go down and just lay them out like so, stick them together, and then you've got a little belly band there to make use of as well. And you can embellish that. You can stick things over the top of it. You know, you can add little sparkly bits to it, whatever you want to do, and you can build that up to make your own belly band as well. And you can also make snippets, so you can carry on and just make these indefinitely long and just cut them out when you need them, for little embellishments and things. And the other thing, of course, is you can just lay them out on a big board and make a masterboard out of them as well. And you can use all your different sizes to do that with. So, you know, it doesn't really matter what size it is. You can utilize them in your belly bands, in your masterboards, in your snippets, whatever you want to do with them. Another fab thing to do, a similar thing to do, is when you've got your little offcuts, again, rather than throw them in the bin, cut them into triangles. Again, I have done a video on this previously, but when you've got these triangles, and they make quite interesting, I mean, these were actually pictures, but once you've cut them down into triangles, you can't really make out what was in the picture. And that's the beauty of them, because you can then utilize these, as you can see here, for all different things. All right, and then what you can do with those is make your snippets out of them. As an example, that's a snippet made out of basically a mishmash and array of different triangles, different sizes, different shapes, and just sticking them all together randomly down a little piece of paper or card, whatever you've got. Or you don't even have to use a base if you don't want to, just stick the edges together. And like I say, you can use them then for belly bands, snippets. You can use them to embellish the side of a page. You can use them to embellish the top of the page, the bottom of the page. You can use them across the page. You can use them however you want to, really. And you can cut them up and use them on things like tags, journal cards. You can use them for extra little tuck-ins. There's hundreds and hundreds of different things that you can do with these things rather than throw them away. And it just gives you an extra element to make use of, which is really useful for when you're crafting and you just need something in your stash that'll give you that little extra element that you can use as something a little bit different that maybe nobody else has got. So kits are all lovely and they're fantastic to use, but sometimes you want to be a little bit more unique and a little bit different, and these are really nice ways of doing it. And when you're like me and you've ended up with loads and loads and loads of little pieces that have come from the designs that you've been currently working on, you can then go on and make hundreds of different things from all of these as well. So that's your triangles. What else can you do? You're going to end up with strips like this. Okay, and sometimes you end up with slightly wider strips. I had a couple of 2-inch cut-offs and just slightly wider than the 2-inch, so I've made myself some tabs with them. And again, I've done videos on these umpteen times about how you make your tabs. It's a 2-inch square, you fold it over, and if you are lucky enough to have one of these corner edged punches, I use the little 3 flute there, and you literally pop that into your punch and punch it out, and then you just turn it over and do the same thing again. All right, and that then gives you your tabs. That will give you a whole host of tabs to use in your journals or whatever you're doing, to put on your tags, on your journal cards or whatever. You know what it's like when you're doing your journals. Some people provide lots of tags as part of the kit. Other people don't provide any at all. Sometimes you want more than is available. Sometimes you want different designs than what's made available to you. Make your own, and you can make your own from the scraps that you've had from previous projects to give you a whole host of different things that you can use. The other really nice thing is the bits that come off these corners end up like that, and they end up with a lovely little fluted edge there. And you can guess what I'm going to tell you that you can do with them rather than throw them away. You can do exactly the same with them as you can your little triangular pieces, and stick them down and make another little belly band out of them, or add them to journals, journal cards and tags, just to embellish and decorate, again with a little bit of something different. If each of those were a different design, that would make quite a nice little belly band, and you wouldn't have to go searching around for something a little bit more unique. Okay, so that's those. The other thing that you can do, you are always inevitably, let me get these bits out of the way, you are always inevitably going to end up with these tiny, tiny little pieces. I know what most people do with them. Most people think, I can't really use them for anything, I'm going to put them in the bin. Don't put them in the bin, okay, because you can use these for clusters. You can use them to back words with. Let me show you something that I do quite regularly. Excuse my stretch. So for instance, we have got, let's have a look at this one. This one was from the Alice journal that I've just done. Okay, I've got a few of these left over. Now, if I wanted to use that in another journal, but I just wanted it to have a little bit of background to it, I've got a piece there that is the perfect depth for it. So you can just lay that on there, and it just gives you some extra bits and pieces to add layering to new projects that you're doing and new things that you're doing. You can also use them for mini tucks. So you could do that. You could stick that on, for instance, that could be used as a mini tag. You could stick that on your little mini tag there with your little word, stick it down there, and then you've got a little mini tag there as well that you can use. And that's using things that are already in your stash, rather than having to cut down yet another page of your new digitals or your new kits that you're currently using. So lots and lots of versatility with these little pieces as well. So you've got those. You can make little mini banners with them as well. So you've got, for instance, you've got this one here. Let me just cut that little bit off there. You know, you can make little mini banners with them. So we can cut that up there. We'll just cut that across there. And we will cut this one across here. Now, I am not going to lie. If I was really, really, really super bothered about waste, I could even use those bits as well. Do you know what? I'm just going to throw them away. And there's your little mini banner. All right, and your little mini banner, again, can be layered up. You've got other scraps here that you can layer up with if you want to. And then you've got your little word. Did I put it away, my little word? No, I didn't. It's there. You've got your little word that you can put on there. Or you've got your little gems, if you've got gems in your kit. And there we go. You see, you can layer these things up. There is absolutely no need to throw these bits and pieces away, where you can make so much out of them. Masterboards as well. You can do a whole masterboard out of tiny little pieces like this, and it'll look fabulous. And then that masterboard can be turned into journal cards and tags and anything else that you want for your journals. So lots and lots and lots of things that you can do with them. For those of you that are new, let me just explain a masterboard to you. So a masterboard is literally, if you can imagine, that's your base of your masterboard there. All right, let me turn, oh, maybe not, because there's stuff on the back of that. But okay, so that's a misprint. All right, I've used that. That's a misprint. We could use that. So we could use that as our backing and then turn it over, stick pieces on here. So we're going to stick these little bits on here, like so, in any sort of random order. Doesn't have to be exact. All right, you can turn them this way and that way. You can put them upside, downside, inside out. And you can make yourself a masterboard, because this is all a masterboard is. It's just literally a piece of cardstock or paper that you've made up from your scraps, basically. All right, and you just carry on doing that to your heart's content. You can overlay if you want to. You know, if you've got a gap there and you haven't got a piece small enough or the right size to fill the gap, overlay it. I've got a piece here. I can cut that down and overlay there if I want to. Mr. Rabbit. You know, you can do whatever you want to with them. Make your masterboards. And then just that size there would make me 4 tags or 2 decent sized journal cards if I was to cut it across there. So much versatility. You know, there is so much you can do with this stuff, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So those are your little bits. All right, so that's what we're doing with little pieces. So with little pieces, you've got your masterboards, you've got your backgrounds, you've got mini banners. You can embellish tags, journal cards, whatever you want to with them. All right, so don't throw your little pieces away. Make use of them. Let me just gather these up, and we'll go on to the next thing that you can do with all this stuff. Most people would just throw this in the bin. What a waste, honestly. So many things you can do with it. Oh gosh, I've just dropped all that now. Bear with me while I tidy up my mess, folks. Oh dear. And you can have so much fun as well, because it's, you know, you're using your own imagination to make things rather than relying on somebody else to give you things, which is lovely. Okay, so next thing you can do, you will have cut-off strips, all right? You will have hundreds of cut-off strips, probably from every single project that you do. You will have cut-offs. You'll have little skinny cut-offs, slightly wider cut-offs. You'll have fat cut-offs. You'll have cut-offs for this and cut-offs for that. You'll have them all different lengths, etc., etc. What can you do with them? Pretty much the same as what I've just shown you as what you can do with the smaller pieces, but on a larger scale. So these, excuse me, you can use these for belly bands. All right, that is a perfect size for a belly band, whether that's top to bottom or left to right. All right, so you can make your belly bands from these and use these as your basis for those belly bands. You can weave them. All right. Now, I have done a video on weaving as well. I made some journal cards out of some weaved pieces. You can weave them, look, see? And again, there doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason to how you put these things together, because once they're together, they look awesome. You know, they look so, so nice. And you just weave away till your heart's content. before you know it, a whole morning will be gone and all you've done is weaved things along. So if you're bored, you want something to do, grab your little bits out and start weaving. All right. And again, doesn't have to be set sizes, doesn't have to be set shapes or anything. You can weave away and do whatever you want to do with these pieces. You know, you can do it all one colour. You can, like here, it's just a mishmash. But once that's all together, it looks absolutely brilliant. And then again, you can cut them down for journal cards, tags, banners, just embellish pockets. You can make all sorts of things out of them. So there we go. That's your weaving. I've mentioned banners and masterboards, obviously. Masterboards are always an obvious to do with any offcuts. You can make a masterboard with all the strips going in the same way. You can make a masterboard that's weaved. You can make a masterboard that's just a mishmash of bits going all over the place. You can tear them up and make them raggedy if you want to. Do whatever you like. Do what floats your boat, but use your bits. That's strips. So I think we've covered strips. So what else have we got? Let's have a look. So I have got, from the bits that I have cut off, I've got a couple of these pieces left from when I reduced them down. That's a simple make. There's 2 journal cards there. I don't know why I didn't turn them into journal cards and just add them to the journal. I think I was just getting a little bit, it was getting a little bit thick, the journal. But again, they could be cut across, backed with a little bit of coffee dyed paper, use them as journal cards. This one again, you could either cut something out of that, you could cut it down. I mean, that would actually work quite nicely, cut down the centre there, 2 journal cards, or cut it down slightly top and bottom and side, 1 larger journal card. You've got other little bits like this. I didn't put this in with the smaller bits because actually I think that would make a really pretty little tag, and that was just a little offcut that I had. I'm just going to nip off the corners of that, and that'll make a really lovely little tag. Again, same with these things. You can make journal cards from them. You can make little inserts. You can use them as backing papers for bits and pieces. Another journal card. Another little mini journal card, backings for journal cards, tag maybe, or belly band, whatever you want to do with that one. That's a bit of cardstock. Again, you can use that as backings for your words, whatever you want to do. These should have been in my smaller pieces. I think these are relatively small pieces. But again, I've gone through what you can do with these. And again, you've got your masterboards that you can just throw them down onto masterboards if you want to. These, again, you've got tag size cards there. You can back them with the new journal pieces and use those to use the backings of those to write on. Loads and loads and loads of different things. That's a brilliant journal card size, isn't it? And then I came across this little fella. That just in itself, I've just cut that from a scrappy bit that I'd cut out. I'd used the page, and I don't know why I did this. I used a whole page just to cut a plain circle out of it. And rather than that go to waste, that in itself will make such a cute little pocket. It's just got the bits nipped off there, but it's got a lovely little curved shape at the top there. That would make a beautiful little insert for a little slim tag on the side of a journal page. Beautiful. This little guy, actually, there we go. You could make him the little tag, couldn't you? Oh, there we go. That's what we're doing with that then. This was a little off-cut piece. And again, that could be a little mini pocket. It could be a little mini tuck. Pop it onto something. This was the little mini versions of the full pages from the digital kit that I've just done. That would make a lovely little journal card. So if I was to cut it down there, fold it in half, you've got a cute little mini journal card. and the other one again will make a lovely little mini journal card as well. So, you know, they're not going to go to waste either. They are going to get used. And because these are quite generic, I know this was from the Alice journal, and I know there's a clock in there, or a little pocket watch, and I know there's a few little cards in there as well. But overall, it's relatively generic. These little cards could be used in any journal. So you could pick these out and use them in future projects that you're doing as well, rather than them go to waste or in the bin. All right, we've got literally a half a page there. That could be used as a side tuck. You could cut it down and use it as a pocket. You can use it as journal cards. You can use it as tags. Again, do the same with this one. There's another little journal card or tag that you could do there, or you can make collages up. You know, if you made collages up from these things as well, you know, there is no end to what you can do with it. So that's my bigger pieces. All right, so we have covered strips, we've covered circles, we've covered triangles, we've covered your little small pieces, and we've covered your neutrals. All right, so what do you then do with pieces that are effectively a full page or getting on for a full page that you haven't used, like this? So these were photocopies of the book from the Alice journal that I've just done, and I didn't use them because it wasn't that piece I wanted, it was the bit on this side that I wanted. Same with here, it wasn't this bit I wanted, oh sorry, it wasn't this bit I wanted, it was the bit on this side that I wanted. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with these, and just to throw those away would be a huge shame. So what can you do with them? You can make journal cards with them if you wanted to do that. If you don't feel that they would fit in with any other journals or projects that you would be doing in the future, you can cut them down. If we look at this piece here, let me just move these out of the way. If we look at this piece here, from there upwards, that would make a lovely background for a pocket. All right. If you wanted to use the whole piece, so for instance, that piece there as a journal card, you could embellish it to cover up the rabbit and Alice and just embellish over the top of it, or you could put another little pocket on the side there which would cover up the rabbit and Alice as well. And again, you've got a generic piece that you can use in future projects as well. The other thing that you can do with these, and I will do it with this little bit because again, this little bit, if you wanted to use it, you could use that piece there as the base to a pocket. Or the other thing, which I like to do with these sorts of things, I'm just going to take off that white edge, and I am going to allow myself to throw that away. All right, so I'm just going to take off those white edges. Well, that didn't cut very well, but let's pretend I've just cut off the whole of that. Let's play pretend. Alrighty. And then if you was to cut these down in 1 centimetre to a ½ inch increments. Okay, so let's cut that down. That'll give you that one. Let's cut this one down to the same width. And this one to the same width. Oh, that wasn't to the same width, but it doesn't matter. Let's cut that one down as well. Cut that one down. And I'll just cut one more for good luck. Where's my centimetre stripper? Just doing centimetre. You can cut them down into whatever size you want to, effectively. All right. So again, this was a specific picture from a page. All right. But once you cut it into strips, it can be anything you want it to be. All right. So even if, you know, you're not doing another Alice journal, but you want to use your bits up, If you then weave these bits together, they will take on a whole new shape and a whole new look. So again, you're making something completely new out of something that you were never going to use. All right. And I don't know if you can just see that, but just from those few little strips there, you are never going to know that that was an Alice journal or a page out of an Alice in Wonderland book, because each tiny little piece is a different piece to the jigsaw and it looks completely different. So that's something else that you can do with these full bits that you've got left over. But use your imagination, guys. You know, use your strips, use your cut-offs, use your pages that you haven't used in whatever way you can. Again, that would make a lovely little pocket. You can cover up the little cat if you want to, or you can use the cat. Maybe you're doing a cat journal. You could use that in another pocket. You've got, what is that? Oh, that's where Alice fell down the hole, isn't it? You see, I couldn't even make out what that was looking at it. But again, there, if we was to cut that there, you've got a tag there that you can embellish and do whatever you want with. So I think I've made my point. I think I've probably given you enough ideas there to start making use of what would have otherwise been. And if you look at all of this and look at all of this and look at all of this and these and what I've got in my little tray, if I was just to throw that all away, what a huge waste and lack of potential that you've just thrown in the bin. By doing this, by spending a little bit of time and having a little bit of fun with it, all of this can be turned into something beautiful and used in future projects. So I hope that's given you a little something to work with. I hope you didn't find it boring, but let me know what you do with your scraps. You know, maybe I'm missing something that I could do with mine as well. So that's it for today, guys. I'll let you get away and I will see you for, what are we on next? Where are we today? We're No Waste Wednesday. I will see you for Quickfire Friday. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Take care. Bye for now.